Have you considered a rebrand for your company, but you're having trouble getting executive buy in? Well, this episode will help you do just that as we walk through a system integration company's journey as they rebranded. And we talk about executive participation. We talk about types of activities that happened during the rebrand and what was the anticipated and actual ROI of the project. Let's do this.
Welcome to Content Marketing Engineered, your source for building trust and generating demand with technical content. Here is your host, Wendy Covey.
Hi, and welcome to Content Marketing Engineered. On each episode, I'll break down an industry trend, challenge, or best practice in reaching technical audiences. You'll meet colleagues, friends, and clients of mine who will stop by to share their stories. And I hope that you leave each episode feeling inspired and ready to take action. Before we jump in, I'd like to give a brief shout out to my agency, True Marketing. True is a full service agency located in beautiful Austin, Texas, serving highly technical companies. For more information, visit truemarketing.com. And now on with our podcast. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Content Marketing Engineered. I'm joined today by Melissa Geertz. She's the Director of Marketing at Gray Solutions. Welcome to the show, Melissa.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
I am so excited you're here. I know it was hard to pin down your schedule because you've had a lot of travel in recent weeks, lots of industry events, including one of my long-standing favorites, which was the CSIA Executive Conference. So just wanted to hear, I hear you presented, right? What did you present on?
Yeah, so presented two sessions. One was all about branding. It was called Brand Like a Boss. And the other one was basically about branding on a budget, right? Because in the system integrator space and industrial marketing, we don't typically have massive budgets to work with. And so it's how do you execute a marketing plan with little or no financial resources?
Well, those both sound like great topics and how relevant to what we'll be talking about today, which is also rebranding. While True Marketing has gone to that conference many times in years past, and Lisa Richter, I don't know if you've run into Lisa. She's been on the show, and our friends at Exotech, Don Roberts and Jack Barber. I don't know if you know the X-Tech guys, but anyway, lots of CSIA people have come around to this show, and I'm glad to have you here today, Melissa. So before we jump in, why don't we start with just tell me a little bit about Gray Solutions and your role at the company.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So Gray Solutions is a system integrator, a rapidly growing system integrator. We were founded in 2018, so still relatively new to this space, but have achieved quite a bit of growth in that time. Gray Solutions brought me on in, about a year and a half ago to start really investing in marketing and building out our brand and building out a marketing strategy. And so we have a small team now here at Gray Solutions, but my background, I've been in marketing for 20 plus years at this point, across a variety of industries, which I think has been really fun to be able to bring other industry perspectives into this industry and try to do something a little different.
Yeah. Was it hard to ramp up when you made the move into industrial marketing?
Yeah, I mean, industrial marketing is hard, right?
Yeah.
It is. It's hard in a lot of ways. I think we're very fortunate at Gray Solutions. We have a great team here, a great group of solutioneers, as we call them, that really jump in and want to help you get up to speed and I think there's a lot of great ideas. I know there's a lot of great ideas, especially for those in the field that are working with customers on projects. And so I think that they were excited to be able to now have a mechanism or a voice to be able to get some of those ideas out. And so they were very receptive, very helpful through that kind of onboarding process. But, as well as I do, it's sometimes you just got to get in there and do it. And that's very much like the solutioneer way. It's just get in and figure it out. And so that's what we did.
Yeah, I can't believe it's only been a year and a half. I feel like you've been there a lot longer, and it
Yes.
just, I think it goes to show your passion. I mean, you've just been 120% in from the beginning, and like you said, roll up your sleeves and just do. And I love that you mentioned that that's just part of the culture. So maybe that's a good segue into just describe the culture. Like beyond that, are there other aspects of the culture that stand out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. This is something I wrote a blog post or LinkedIn post a few months back about this. Like, I feel like culture as a whole has become this like buzzword, right? It's become a word. It's kind of lost some of its meaning in many ways.
Mm,
I'm guilty of it as well. Like, we throw it around kind of in interviews or in company meetings, but like, what is it like to have a good culture? And I think the difference is that here at Gray Solutions, it's a feeling. Like, that's what culture is. It's the way that we feel when we interact with each other. It's the way that we feel when we interact with customers. It's about being unapologetically and authentically you, and being supported for that, right? And having that be championed. And so it's complicated, right? To try to take something that's a feeling and infuse that into a brand, but that's really what we had to set out to do.
yeah, and to find the words to describe that or to identify the attributes. So, how do you take that sort of nebulous feeling and put that into a branding project? What were some how did you go about doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was, realizing that we weren't setting off to establish a new brand. We were, our goal was to give our brand its voice, to be able to tell our brand story. So it was truly about being authentic in all aspects, and just making sure that everything we're doing is true to that, and that we're not forcing anything that doesn't feel right. And so that was kind of our guiding light. If it didn't feel like us, we weren't going to do it. And in some ways, feeling like us also pushed boundaries, and from maybe some of the things that are what's expected, I think, in the industry. And so that was where we stay true to is, if it doesn't feel authentic, it's not us, because we're not trying to force a new brand. We're just trying to represent who we are and tell our story better.
Right. Okay. Now, Gray Solutions has a parent company, and that parent company has its own brand. So, how much of their brand was a consideration in the branding efforts that you guys did?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're super fortunate, and we feel very proud to be part of the Gray company. And Gray is a global leader in construction, design, engineering, equipment. And for us at Gray Solutions, in offering professional services inside of a system integrator space. And so we very much work alongside with Gray, and the power of what that brings to our customers, prospective customers, is huge. But we also know that we need to grow in the system integrator space as well, so that we can contribute even more back to Gray as a whole. And so we knew that we needed to kind of take a bold leap on that side, so that we can stand out in the system integrator space, which is crowded, but also kind of there's a lot of companies that look the same. We say all the time we needed to step out of the sea of sameness that kind of exists, because we wanted to be able to do more and to grow our individual business within the greater Gray company.
Yeah. I recall that when this idea first came about, one of the biggest champions was the CEO of Gray Solutions, and he's not your typical technical, highly technical leader, right? He's
Yeah.
more comes from a business background. Do you think that led into some of the, I don't know, more risk-taking approach that you guys had to this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he gave us one kind of piece of guidance as we entered into this process. And that was, take this as far as you can take it, be as creative and as bold as you can be, and let me be the one to rein you back in. And what a cool experience, right? As a marketer, often you get into a situation where companies want to hire you, but then they say, like, But that's not how we do it, or we've always done it this way, so we need to continue to do it that way. But what a cool and great experience to have somebody who said, you know what, do what you want to do, like figure it out, get in there and let me be the one to kind of pull you back if we feel like we've gone too far with it. And we did. We had that conversation where he called me and said, I think we need to rein it in just a little. Like, I don't want to lose what we're doing, but like, and everything you're saying and the content, and that's exactly how we are, but we also do need to pull it back maybe just a tinge. And we did that, and we were able to refine it and but still maintain that core kind of authentic self, which was really cool.
That is cool. And it sounds on one hand a bit risky, but on the other hand, completely appropriate to stand out and differentiate yourself. So do you feel like you guys were taking big risks and, do you feel like that paid off?
I would say it didn't feel that risky to us. But I think that was because we just kind of put ourselves out there. Like, this is who we are, right? So it wasn't like we were intentionally trying to be bold or intentionally trying to take risks. We were just being authentic to who we are and what we're about and how we operate.
Yeah.
And so I think in the industry, it was seen as being bold and maybe taking some risks and getting there. But I also think we have benefited from that, and we've seen the fruits of that labor, the fruits of taking that leap of faith there. But no, I think for us it feels very natural, more than it does feel like we took a risk.
Very cool. Now, I know, most people, when they think of rebrands, they think of the external elements and what will our customers see? How do we change our website? What does our logo look like? Colors, fonts, all of that sort of external facing thing, the messages that we want to incorporate, our value proposition. I can go on and on. But sometimes people don't also consider their own employees and how this rebrand impacts employees or might help with recruiting or some of those more internal facing factors. So tell me, how did you take into account the needs for that internal audience?
Yeah, absolutely. I think again, people tend to think of a rebrand or building a brand as maybe more of those design elements more than anything else. But it's really the whole experience. So it's everything, digitally, it's everything in the physical space, but it's also your people. And as a professional services firm, our people are the brand, right? Like, so everything we did was centered around being authentic to them and being authentic to our culture and what we're doing here and what we're providing to our customers. But that's everything, again, from the website and the logo and the content and the messaging, the whole story. But it's all the way down to like the physical apparel, physical gear you're putting people in. I've said this before, kind of jokingly, but like, in a world of polos, we're like a t-shirt and hoodie kind of company. Like, that's who we are, and that's authentic to us. And so even as part of this rebrand, that's what we built our storefront. I mean, there's still polos for those who want to wear them. Obviously, we want people to feel comfortable if that's what they're more comfortable in. But we
And
also
trade
have,
shows.
yeah, yeah. Well, even then, our trade show uniform did not. We built a trade show kit, and it did not include a polo, and that
Wow.
was
So
wild,
edgy.
and it was a very cool experience. And but that's the whole thing. It's like, it's you have to be authentic to you as a company in every facet, and that includes what you wear. Your people are your brand, and so yeah, that was a really that was the only moment where I questioned whether or not we went too far. Honestly, was right after we did the rebrand. We had our first trade show like a month later, so it was, we got to go. We had this super cool, we thought super cool, like blacked out booth, and like, this is awesome. And a group of us were walking onto the trade show floor. And again, we had built a trade show kit. And I will tell you, it's the first time I've not had to like ask people to work a booth. Like, if you worked the booth, you got the kit. So like, I had so many volunteers to work the booth. So I felt like I
Nice.
was on the right track, right? Yeah. And but we walk onto the trade show floor, and immediately it was like, you saw heads turn, you saw eyes kind of being like, are they at the wrong show? Like, And because we were in bomber jackets, in black t-shirts, in jeans, in black and green Nikes, like very different. And so we walk onto the
Wow.
trade show.
Even down to the
Yeah,
wait,
totally
hang on.
different.
Matching Nikes. Nikes are
Matching
part of the
Nikes. Yes, that's part
heck
of the kit.
yeah.
Right? And everything. I mean, we had socks and we had like from head to toe. And you
That'd be
just
quite
felt
a
like
statement, I
eyes and
imagine.
yeah, eyes
Uh-huh.
like immediately on you, right? And you're like, oh gosh, did we go too far? And then I thought,
Yeah.
no, like this
No
is
way.
exactly
No way.
what we wanted. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly what we wanted. Exactly what we set out to do was to stand out and to
Yes.
be different and be us. And in the end, we had so many people come over and be like, I wish my company would let us wear Nikes, or I wish,
Right?
and even at the show, like the next day or 2 days later, we were having breakfast off site. It was like a 10-minute Uber ride. It was a little bit further out. And we didn't even we had our hoodies on that day, which just had the mark on in front of it, no logo, no word mark. And this table gets up to leave, and he walks by, he's like, "Oh, Gray Solutions," and we all look at each other, we're like, "Do you know that person?" And they're like, "No."
Yeah.
And so it was like in 2 days, like they recognized the mark, and this is a brand new
Wow.
brand. And I was like, "How cool of an experience
Yeah.
is that? That's already
Yeah.
gained that much traction."
Yes.
So yeah, so it did have a little bit of a moment, and then I thought, no, this is exactly what we set out to do, which is awesome.
Yes. So that is a good example of taking risks for sure, but by the same token, like you said, being authentic to who you are, and to be honest, being more in step with today's I don't know. I want to say fads, more like today's norms, right?
Yeah,
You see women wearing tennis shoes with their business suits in conferences that are more formal. Like people are just over some of these more formalities of trade shows and conferences of the past. So
absolutely.
what a great way to do that. Okay, so how do you measure the ROI of a rebrand? So here you are on the other side of all of this. How do you know if it was worth it? Other than the dude recognized you, which that's a cool story, but good anecdote. Is it all anecdotal?
Yeah, we can relate that to dollars, right? Absolutely.
Right?
So, for us, we were starting off kind of from scratch in a lot of ways. We had to establish some kind of a baseline, but ultimately we always knew the goal going into the project. So we knew that going into doing this rebrand, our goal is for marketing to help make progress towards the growth of the organization. Right? So marketing and sales are one team at Gray Solutions. So we work together on that. We always understood that that was the goal of this project. And part of that is a longer term goal to drive inbound traffic, to drive conversions on the website, and or nurture those leads and contacts in the database. And so we worked again with your team to develop a marketing automation platform that has given us all kinds of analytics that we can report on. But again, most of ours are centered around growth. So, how many people are we driving to the website? How many are converting? How many are downloading a white paper? So for us, it's more the KPIs are more centered around growth metrics. It might be
Yeah.
different for other organizations, but we knew going into the rebrand that that was the primary goal.
Yeah. And then as far as reaction from employees or any metrics to represent that side of the rebrand?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that there's always, as you know, some skepticism, I think, from those outside of marketing, right? In general, any industry, but especially industrial marketing, right? Like there's a
Especially
value that needs
industrial.
to be
Let's just be
proven.
real. Yeah.
Yes. Value needs to be proven, right? It's earned, and that's okay for me. I'm sure for you as well. Like that's a great goal to have. That's a big challenge that we want to tackle. And so, I think that while the majority of our organization was very supportive, there's still others that like needed to see like the proof is in the pudding, right? And so starting
Mhm.
to see some of the leads and the traction that we're getting coming through the website. You all put out such a great study every year, report every year on the state of industrial marketing, or I'm sorry, the state of industrial marketing. That you've all kind of stats now that show that so much of the buyer's journey, that B2B buyer's journey in this space is happening in a digital setting. And so
Yeah.
it's so important that your story can be told effectively whether you're in the room or not, because more often than not, you won't be in the room, right? They're doing that research before they start interacting. So the fact that people are able to go to our website, they're able to understand who we are, what we do, how we can help them, and then they're completing a form to then ask us to help them with a project or to call them. To me, that's the proof in the pudding, right? Like that's where people are starting to see, like, oh, okay, that works. But it
Yeah.
takes getting, I think, to that point where you can actually see, physical leads and conversations. And now, SMEs are in meetings with some of these people that are come through the website. And it's very rewarding and fulfilling to see that on our end, but I think for them as well.
Yeah. What kills me is, you and I, having been in the system integration space, see the technical ability of these companies. I mean, this is such a highly technical space, right? And
Yeah.
it's complex. And so you have these companies that have all this knowledge, but yet their website is so antiquated and
Mhm.
represents that technical acumen so poorly that they don't have a chance, right? They're never going to make it to that table, on the
That's
short list
right.
of even consideration. So
Yep,
it's
absolutely.
not an option.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lead come through the website who was on a partner website. They were looking for a system integrator to help them with this particular type of technology. And they were clicking through the different SIs that were available or listed on this partner website. And they said they got to ours and were like, yeah, I'd want to work with these people, and reached out to us. Like that
Yeah.
was it. They didn't know us before that, but they went like clicking on other
Yeah.
websites and it was like nothing really stood out. And they got to our website and was like, yeah, these are my people. Like I think this would be great. And so they sent in that project to us. And so it's you do need to have to make sure that your story can be told. And your story is also you. Like it's giving the prospective customer an idea of what it's going to be like to work with you, right? It's not
Yeah.
just about what your technical skill sets are, but like it's the whole experience. And so it's really important that that story is reflective of that in your digital salesperson.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was that those are the types of things that make you feel as a marketer, like, okay, we're on the right track. We're still not there yet. We've got a lot of work to do, but like we're heading in the right path.
Yeah, yeah, and everyone's story is so unique. There's a host of system integration companies out there, but each one, their culture is different. How they approach projects are different. The types of applications that they excel best at are different. So it's, rooting out all of those differences and having a unique story. I love the word solutioneer. Like I feel like that is a recruiting advantage of just, oh, I could just go work at this company as whatever, a field sales engineer, or I could be a solutioneer. Like, I don't know,
And
something cool
everyone
about
is
that
that,
label.
right? That's the cool thing.
Yeah.
Everyone. I'm a solutioneer and I'm in marketing and we, HR or people ops, they're solutioneer and everyone's part of this common goal. But again, it's the whole experience. And that's again, when you get to being part of that culture, it's like, oh, well, we're all called to the same thing, even though we have different technical skill sets,
Yeah.
right? Or we all can be who we are. Like it's really truly about that feeling and capturing that in your story.
Yeah. So you're on the backside of this. We talked about ROI. Anything else? Anything surprise you about the results or the experience or things you uncovered along the way?
Yeah, I mean, I think the speed or the pace or the traction that we've gained in a short period of time was a little surprising. Coming from other industries,
Oh, good.
where it's maybe more of a grind, especially when you're doing a rebrand
Mhm.
to gain that traction. Um, I was pleasantly surprised with the early results, the early traction, the number of leads that were achieving and already starting to contribute to the growth of the organization. Honestly, I think when we
Nice.
sat down and planned it out, we were doing this for the long game, right? Like this was to slowly kind of start building our brand awareness, slowly start building inbound traffic. And again, we have a lot of work to do, but I think that what surprised me the most was how immediate some of that occurred. And so, I mean, I think that's exciting for most in this kind of industrial marketing space that you can have a really big impact pretty quickly if you do it authentically and you have a clear point of view. and just stay true to who you are.
That's exciting news. I think for marketers listening that are trying to pitch this and get their leadership on board to hear that they can make an impact that quickly. Maybe that'll be the tipping point. So speaking of those marketers listening, you recently presented on why you should do rebrand, how to do this on a shoestring budget. So maybe give our audience some tips, those who are considering or just starting out on a rebranding project.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say look at your competitors, but don't be your competitors. Look at them so you know what space they are owning and don't go down that path, right? I think if you try to copy what others are doing, the traction or what you're looking to gain with this brand or this rebrand, you're only going to have very like minimal incremental, increases from that. If you cannot rise above that sea of sameness, like you're going to find yourself swimming in it no matter what you do there. So it's important to know what others are doing. Like do that research, look at them, make sure you understand what space they're owning from like a brand perspective, and what they're leaning into, and stay away from it. Like find your own space, find your own point of view, find your own brand identity, and again, make sure that's really authentic. I would also encourage those to like look to outside industries, like look to see what others are doing and and gain inspiration from that, and bring some of that into this space, because I think that's where you're going to find those bigger leaps, from a brand standpoint, and trying to gain that equity in the space.
Great advice. Thank you. Well, where can people connect with you and learn more about Gray Solutions?
Yeah, absolutely. So Gray Solutions, our website's pretty simple, graysolutions.com. Check it out. Or you can connect with me on LinkedIn. So happy to interact or help in any way I can, or share more experiences. But yeah, appreciate the opportunity to be here. And it's always fun to geek out over marketing with someone who is going to listen and not want you to stop talking. So.
Oh, I think we could have filled another 30 minutes if we had the time. I really appreciate you sharing your rebrand experiences, and we'll have you back on, Melissa. I have a feeling there's more we can talk about, so don't worry, you'll be back.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I meant more so from it. Normally, I just like to talk marketing, and nobody wants to listen to me. So I appreciate you taking the time to do that.
There you go. You found the right person.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, and I appreciate it.
Thanks for joining me today on Content Marketing Engineered. For show notes, including links to resources, visit truemarketing.com/podcast. While there, you can subscribe to our blog and our newsletter and order a copy of my book, Content Marketing Engineered. Also, I would love your reviews on this podcast. So please, when you get a chance, subscribe and leave me your review on your favorite podcast subscription platform. Thanks and have a great day.